Along the shore the cloud waves break, the twin suns sink behind the lake, the shadows lengthen in Carcosa. Strange is the night where black stars rise, and strange moons circle through the skies, but stranger still is lost Carcosa. Songs that the Hyades shall sing, where flap the tethers of the king, must die unheard in dim Carcosa. Song of my soul, my voice is dead. Thy though, unsung, as tears unshed, shall dry and die in lost Carcosa. Hello everybody and welcome to Until the End of Time. My name is Werner. I'm so glad you could join me. And as you may have guessed by that little intro, we are playing The Path to Carcosa. And this is going to be at least the curtain call, the very first scenario, and depending on how it goes, I will probably be doing most of the campaign, and I will be using some relatively new investigators. I will be using Harvey Walters, the new Seeker from the Investigator Intro decks, and I will be using Tony Morgan, the Bounty Hunter, the Rogue from the Dream Eaters. Now, this will be a campaign playing regular Carcosa, so not the Return to, and it will be playing on standard difficulty. Because Harvey Walters is an intro deck investigator, we currently do not know all of his cards. We know his signature card, we do not know his weakness yet. As such, I have given Harvey two basic weaknesses to compensate. Tony is played as normal. What else to say? Well, there is one more thing I should say before we get started. I have made these decks using the taboo list. Now, if you're not familiar with what the taboo list is, if you go onto the FFG website and go to the FAQ page, you will find a PDF with the FAQ, and at the end of the FAQ there is a list called the taboo list, and the taboo list changes certain cards and adds XP costs to certain cards. Now, those changes are optional. They are not errata, they are not mandatory. You don't have to play them. In fact, if you do not have a full collection, you are not recommended on doing that. The taboo list is designed for players who have most, if not all, of the collection, and who have deck built so much that they realize, like, well, I keep using these same cards. They're pretty overpowered. If I just want to win, if I want to build the best decks, I'm just using the same cards over and over again. So I'm going to use these different cards. Or the taboo list is like, well, you can't use those cards, or those cards are changed or tweaked somehow. Try building a decks with these new rules, and it creates a slightly more balanced experience. But again, if you are a new player, please do not use the taboo list unless you have a full collection, because it will just, it's not balanced, it's not designed around the idea of a small collection and then using the taboo list. That is just gonna mess things up. Okay, so we're gonna be playing The Path to Carcosa, 2-player. Let's get started. We have some intro text, and I realize I didn't grab the campaign guide ahead of time, but no worries. We'll just do it right now. We're doing it live. Oh. Have you seen the yellow sign? We get to skip this. Time to go for the prologue. You turn over the folded program in your hands, reading it for what seems like the 100th time. Miskatonic Playhouse presents The King in Yellow, it reads. A special one-night engagement at Arkham's very own War Theatre. An irresistible drama in 2 acts. Production staged and directed by Nigel Ingram. The cast is a small ensemble, with one unattributed credit at the end, The Stranger. To have such a highly anticipated play come to Arkham all the way from Paris is a noteworthy event, even if it's just for one night. For weeks leading up to the show, it was the talk of the town. It seems so unassuming, and yet you have evidence something sinister is at work. It started with the disappearance of one of the stagehands at the theatre, a boy of only 17 who missed rehearsal one night and was never seen again. Then, less than 2 weeks before the performance, there was the musician whose corpse was found with a gun in its mouth. Perhaps the most chilling was the crazed man the coppers had picked up in Independence Square who had been ranting and raving about the king's return. He was brought to Arkham Asylum, and you were surprised to discover he was not alone in his delusions. Finding these events suspicious, you and your companions have delved deeper into the matter. Although no connection can be proven, these weren't the only strange events surrounding the up-and-coming play. Instances of suicide and madness have followed in its wake, and you are determined to discover why. The lights in the auditorium dim, and the spotlight shines on the stage. What unfolds is not quite what you expected. Slow-paced and monotonous, the first act of The King in Yellow is a tedious bore. The setting and characters are compelling, but the meandering and nonsensical story does little to entertain or inform. You begin to wonder whether the dreadful events surrounding the King in Yellow aren't connected after all. Perhaps it was just your overactive imagination. How could such a trivial and unassuming show cause such a pandemonium? You are surprised when the first act closes without any rising action or revelation. The lights rise for the intermission, and you consider leaving early, stiffening a yawn. Before you are able to decide, however, you find yourself drifting to sleep. Lola Hayes will not be playing, so we will proceed to scenario 1, card call, get all the encounter sets, put some cards aside, and then shuffle the encounter deck. Get playing. So let's take a moment to talk about our investigators. On the left here we have Harvey Walter, the Professor. He is the intro deck seeker. He has 4 willpower, 5 intellect, but only 1 combat and 2 agility. His mind is quite sharp, but his body's a bit old. Now Harvey's actually one of the OG investigators. He's been in a lot of products related to the Arkham universe. I'm ashamed to admit I haven't actually played with him before because this is my first experience with the Arkham mythos. I've been playing a lot of LCG, but I haven't played before that. But he seems really cool so far. He seems to be a bit of a mentor because his ability is, after an investigator at your location draws 1 or more cards from their deck during the investigation phase, that investigator draws 1 card, limit once per round. So whenever anybody starts drawing cards, he can give them additional guidance, additional information. And then he's an Elder Sign effect, super easy, +1, draw a card. 7 health, 8 sanity means that he's pretty sturdy, like most of the investigators from the starter decks. Meanwhile, over here we have Tony Morgan. 2 willpower, 3 intellect, 5 combat, 2 agility. He's a bounty hunter. And you may take an additional action during your turn, which you can only use to engage or fight an enemy with 1 or more bounties on it. The Elder Sign effect, +2, place a bounty on bounty contracts. Well, what is bounty contracts and what are these bounties? Well, bounty contracts is an asset, it is permanent, Tony Morgan deck only, and it uses 6 bounties. You can see here I'm using this counter to keep track of those. Reaction, after an enemy enters play, move 1 to 3 bounties from bounty contracts to that enemy to a maximum of the enemy's health. So we can do a maximum of 3 or that enemy's health, whichever is lower. Forced, after you defeat an enemy with 1 or more bounties on it, move its bounties to your resource pool as resources. So we get extra actions and we get extra resources for killing enemies with bounties on them. And this seems to be a pretty good pair. You have Harvey taking care of most of the intellectual stuff, you investigating mostly. And we have Tony who can take care of the monsters. Deck building wise, I'll talk about their decks as the cards kind of show up. So let's draw opening hands. Right, so one of the first things I probably should talk about is Dr. Milan Christopher. So as you can see, Dr. Milan Christopher has been mutated, which is to say it has been affected by the taboo list. Or he has been affected by the taboo list, I suppose. Because if you remember Dr. Milan Christopher, he reads you get +1 intellect, and after you successfully investigate, you gain 1 resource. Well, the mutated version of Dr. Milan Christopher is the same, except you have to exhaust him. So you can get 1 resource per round. This makes him a lot fairer, obviously. If you've played with Milan a lot, you will know that he's a very powerful economy engine, and this reins him in a bit. Otherwise, I don't believe any of the cards. Well, actually, no. Arcane Enlightenment is a new card, so I should probably talk about that. It is a ritual that takes up the arcane slot. 2 cost asset, 2 willpower icons, which is not insignificant. It increases your maximum hand size by 1, and it gives you an extra hand slot, which you can only use to hold a tome asset. This is amazing, right? Seekers have a lot of good tomes. Some Seekers like using their spell slots for other stuff, but in general, this is just a nice little... The maximum hand size increasing by 1 is not that big, but it is notable, and having additional hand slots for tomes is great. So looking at this hand, we have Emergency Cash for money, we have Milan for a bit of money, also for a intellect boost, we have Arcane Enlightenment, we have Eureka and Deduction to do stuff early with. It's not ideal, but I like keeping the Eureka here because if we mulligan it, we're just going to get 1 new card, whereas if we actually use it, we're going to look at 3 cards and pick 1. So I think I'm just keeping this hand as it is. I should actually point out, I haven't stacked these decks or anything, so the fact that Milan thought there was kind of lucky coincidence. Alright, so here's Tony's deck, or Tony's hand. Tony's hand is a lot less great. So we have Lone Wolf, which is nice, extra economy, assuming we don't stray too far from our friend Harvey, which we do have to protect because Harvey really can't protect himself and Tony needs to do all the monster killing. Annoyingly, we really didn't draw any weapons, which is kind of mandatory. So I'm gonna, we don't need this flashlight. I'm tempted by the you handle this one because Tony doesn't have the greatest defensive stats, but I think I'm gonna mulligan it as well. Gonna mulligan the stunning blow, and then I have to decide about the lucky cigarette case. Since I'm already drawing 3 cards, I think I'm okay keeping this one because it is very good. It lets you draw more cards. Works well with Harvey as well. So I'm just gonna do 1, 2, 3. Sadly, we did not draw a weapon, so we're gonna have to improvise. Okay. It is worth pointing out that we have another mutated card in our hand. We have Quick Thinking. The only mutation here is that you can now only commit 1 of them per test, so it's not that big a change. And also I believe there's only 1 in the deck at the moment. Deck list will be available in the description. Okay, well we have our opening hand, so let's start. We start in the theater. Oh, there's also flavor text in the back. Theater must have been one hell of an intermission. To say that the theater is a disarray would be a profound understatement. The walls and seats, previously polished to a shine, are cracked and caked with dirt. The curtains are tattered and the set is stained with old blood. You aren't sure what's worse, the smell of rot or the nagging feeling that you've been asleep for a very long time. 2 shroud, 0 clues. And our objective, or rather our agenda, is the 3rd act. The theater is eerily silent. The old wooden floor creaks beneath your feet, and a light rain gently patters on the roof as you explore the auditorium. There are more rotting corpses among the seats, and the rest of the crowd has vanished. You pinch yourself up to see if you are dreaming, and sure enough, your skin stings and reddens. You take a few deep breaths and try to think rationally. Whatever is going on, you must explore the theater to learn the truth of the matter. 6 clues to advance. I believe we also missed a piece of flavor text somewhere. Somewhere it just said that we're asking a question to a corpse. I believe it's in the very start of the scenario, but that's not a big deal. So we start, there's no clues here. We can go backstage. The set is different from what you remember of the play's first act, decorated with a backdrop of an unsettling sunset. Or we can go to the lobby. Through the tall glass doors leading into the lobby, you can see that this room isn't nearly as dilapidated as the auditorium. Signs promoting the King in Yellow taunt you from inside. And we can also see that the balcony is in play. A carpeted staircase leads up into the balcony. Somehow, a hot draft is blowing down through the steep passageway. Notably, the balcony is connected to the theater, but not the other way around. Yeah, so I'm having to decide where to start with this hand and who to have start. Well, probably have Harvey start. And let's go see what's over here then. In the lobby. Okay, lobby. 4 shroud, 1 clue. Forced. When the lobby is revealed, put 2 of the set aside lobby doorway locations into play at random. Okay, so we have some doorways. There are 3 lobby doorways, because this is the regular version. We put 2 of those into play and we leave the other one set aside for now. The lobby doorways are connected and each of these reads an ornate wooden door leads into one of the front areas of the theater. We can also spend 2 actions to draw 3 cards, which is actually somewhat tempting. I mean, we would get to draw 4 cards, which is pretty good, but then we would be over hand ties and yeah, probably not do that. So instead I'm going to spend my 2nd action to play our good friend Milan, and I'll play our last action to play emergency cash, go back up to 4 resources. Next up, Tony. Well, we didn't draw anything special, but we're not doing too terribly. First action, we're just gonna draw a card. So lucky cigarette case, that's not what we need, because we already have one of those. Second action, let's play 1 of the cigarette cases, and our last action, we are going to play Lone Wolf. Alright, let's go to upkeep. We draw a card, and we can't use Harvey's ability on this, because Harvey's ability is only during the investigation phase. So you have to be actively drawing during your turn, which is relevant. We gain a resource, and here also we draw a card and gain a resource, and we proceed to the Mythos phase. Doom 1 of 6 encounter cards. We have drawn our first hidden cards. Now hidden cards are a bit weird in what I'm doing right now because I'm controlling both investigators, but the way they work is you secretly add them to your hand. They do count towards your hand size, and they have an ability that's active in your hand. In this case, I cannot trigger any fast abilities. And then I can spend 2 actions in this case to discard it. So this goes into my hand. And now normally you wouldn't tell the other player that the ability, they would know you've drawn a hidden card because you're putting a card with the encounter back into your hand. But you don't get to tell them what it does. In this case, it's a bit different because obviously I can see what's inside both hands, but it happens. Oh, and a swarm of rats. Oh, excellent. We can showcase some of the abilities that Tony has. So when an enemy enters play, or after it, we can move one of the bounties off the bounty contract onto the swarm of rats. And we get an extra action to fight against the swarm of rats. Now I use the Guardian to denote the action that is the bounty actions, and I will use a rogue action for Leo DeLuca when he eventually shows up. Kind of decided to no-show today. I think Harvey's probably just going to start exploring these doorways. So I'm just going to let Tony go first, grab a resource real quick, thanks to Lone Wolf, and then punch the rats. That's a -3. Well, it would have been fun to actually get the draw card of Liquor Cigarette Case, but I guess it's not meant to be. We're still succeeding by 1, so punch the rat, get a resource from the bounty we killed. We cashed in the bounty. So we're just gonna move here. How badly do we need to draw cards or to draw a weapon? Not that badly, but also would be good. Yeah, so I'm gonna spend my third action to draw a card and then trigger Harvey's ability to draw another card. So 1, 2, we'll get twice the same card. Perseverance. Oh yeah, I've Tony is a rogue who can pick between 3 different off classes. He can be either a Guardian, a Seeker, or Survivor. I've played quite a bit of Guardian Tony, but I decided for this video I was going to try Survivor Tony. So we have, as you can probably tell, we have quite a few Survivor cards in our hand already. And for our last action, we're going to walk up to the balcony. The balcony is 2 Shroud, 2 Clues, and a victory point. Hey, XP. Forced, after you perform a move action, during which you move from the balcony to the theater, take 2 damage. Right, so we can jump down from the balcony into the theater, but we're going to break our legs doing so. Notably, Tony does have 9 health, so we might be doing that at some point. But that's the end of his turn, so we're going to pass it over to Harvey. We could obviously run up here and start getting these clues, but Harvey's actually got a high enough intellect that I feel like we're fine going somewhere else too. So I will move into this lobby doorway. We have found the green room. 5 Shroud, 1 clue per investigator, 2 clues, and 1 victory point, and an action, investigate. You get +3 intellect for this investigation, but after the skill test ends, discard each card in your hand. We're not necessarily worried about that 5 Shroud, however, because we're already at 6 intellect, and our second action is going to be an investigate, committing Eureka and deduction. We draw a -1, so we succeed. Triggering all the effects, we're going to start with Milan, get a resource, then we're going to use the deduction to pick up 2 clues. 2. And then we're going to use Eureka. Look at the top 3 cards. Oh, there's one of our weaknesses. It's the internal injury. There's also the strange solution, which you can test intellect 4, and if you succeed, you get to draw 2 cards and identify the solution. As of now, it doesn't do much, but who knows what it could do. However, the card we are taking is going to be Crack the Case, as it seems like we just picked up the last clues at our location, so we get to grab that many resources. This location was Shroud 5. Go to 11 resources. That's pretty good. For our last action, we're actually surprisingly low on cards, but I'm just going to play this Arcane Enlightenment now. So we have +1 hand size and an extra hand slot. All right, let's go to upkeep. Oh, this is a really good one. So this is Harvey's signature card. It is the Vault of Knowledge. It is his deck only. Maximum hand size is increased by 2 is an asset for 3 costs. Sorry, I should have started with that. After you successfully investigate, you can exhaust the Vault of Knowledge and choose an investigator location. Then investigator draws 1 card. Combine this with Milan, and every turn we can investigate, we can get a resource, draw 2 cards. It gets crazy. Oh, but we've also found Tony's Quarry. Tony's Quarry is an enemy weakness that spawns at the location furthest from Tony's Morgan. So I have to figure out 1, 2, 1, 2. So it could be literally anywhere. Well, it couldn't be here or here or here. But I think we're going to put it over here at this other doorway, since we have to go there anyway. And it reads aloof, so we have to spend an action to engage it. And forced, after it enters play, place a doom on it and place a bounty on it. So Tony's definitely going to want to hunt that down. It has a 4 fight and 3 health and 1 evade. is a monster, humanoid monster in deep one. We proceed to the Mythos phase. Doom. Encounter card. Rotting Remains. Okay, we have to test willpower 3. For each point we fail by, we have to take a horror. We're at willpower 4. We don't really have anything. Well, I mean, we could commit the Vault of Whispers, but that's no. And we draw 0, so we're fine. Poltergeist. Ooh. So this is a pretty nasty enemy. It cannot be damaged except by spell, relic, or encounter cards. And it has a parlay action where we can test intellect 3 to try to banish the Geist. This is really bad for Tony because his intellect is decent, but it's not, you know, it's only 3. It doesn't get to parlay that effectively. And he doesn't at the moment have any spells or relics, so no way to get rid of this easily. We're gonna have to try to figure out some way to evade it, presumably, and then try to get out. But we'll look at that in a moment. The thing is that I really want, yeah, preferably Harvey would deal with it. It notably doesn't have Hunter, so if we have some way of evading it, and then just leaving that location, we don't necessarily have to bother fighting it. Yeah, so actually we'll start with Tony. We'll get a resource from Lone Wolf, and we'll just try to evade it. Although, wait, no, we would have to draw 0 and then lucky. So, I keep forgetting that Tony's agility isn't 3; it's only 2. In that case, I think we're gonna just try parlaying it. We have intellect of 3, so we'll just have to lucky into the parlay. -1. Parlay it and deal 1 damage. Come on, that's 0. Show me a 0. Parlay again? No, sadly. Okay. Last action, I'm gonna try again. I am gonna commit to take hearts, just in case I fail. I still get to draw 2 cards and gain 2 resources, and in that case, Harvey's just gonna have to run over and finish it off. And we draw the autofill. Well, we're not passing that no matter what we do, so we're gonna draw 2 cards. So let's go over here. We've drawn several guns. We've drawn the Derringer and the Long Colt. The Long Colts are Tony's signature guns, and they give you extra bounties if you kill enemies that have bounties on them. Okay, so that was Tony's turn. Not that good. The Poltergeist is pretty nasty against your regular tanky folk. So we'll move. Keeping an eye on the Doom as well, because obviously Tony's Cory, we need to kill it before it causes the Jenna to advance. But last action, we are going to just try to parlay here. Now we are testing at 6 versus 3, so I'm actually going to commit Quick Thinking, because obviously we can commit cards to other players at our location. Skulls are -1, unless you have 3 or more horror, in which case they become a -3. So I'll move these down here, so you can easily see them. So we succeed. We are at 7 versus 3, and then 6 versus 3 with the skull, so we succeed by 2, or 3. So this thing is defeated, and Tony gets to take an extra action, which he will use to move. Yeah, he will move. He needs to get to the Cory as soon as possible. Okay, upkeep. Draw a card, gain a resource. So it's not going amazing just yet. Feel like the first couple of encounter cards have really hit me hard, and drawing that weakness early, kind of nasty, but we're not out of this yet. We're definitely still in the game. Okay, Distant Voices. That hurts because I really wanted to play, so it means I can't play assets or events. I've got Vault of Knowledge and now also the Dream Enhancing Serum, which also increased my hand size and let me draw cards. Kind of wanted to play some assets. I got 12 resources burning a hole in my pocket, but we don't get to play them. We'll probably try to clear this and then get a clue or something. It happens. Nothing you can do about it. And Rotting Remains. Ooh, this one's a lot nastier because whereas Harvey at least had 4 willpower, Tony only has 2 willpower, so this is gonna sting. But we do have 2 Perseverance in hand. We probably don't need both of them because it only does something when you are about to die. So we're going up again up to 4 here. Drawing that skull, -1, we succeed. Tying the difficulty. Okay, let's see. Let's start with Tony. Let's kick in the... actually, no, wait. Let's not kick in the door. Let's play our guns first. Yeah, let's play a Derringer. Yeah, let's start with the Derringer. So spending 3 resources. Derringers 3 ammo, and you spend an ammo to fight, get +2 combat, and if you succeed by 2 or more, you do +1 damage. Let's move. It is the lightning box, and this reads 4 shroud, 2 clues, 1 victory point. But while you are at the lightning box, increase the resource cost of each card in your hand by 2. We're going to... Yeah, so if I engage it now, it's gonna hit me, which is pretty annoying, but I also don't really want to keep it alive too long. Because obviously it's going to cause the agenda to advance if we don't act quickly. So I'm gonna just engage it and eat the hit. This might be a little bit too aggressive because it does have that double horror. Yeah, no, this is a mistake. Sorry, I'm gonna backtrack. I just I'm changing my mind, mostly because yeah, the double horror is going to kill Tony a lot faster, especially without any allies. So I'm just gonna draw a card last action. Well, I mean, speak of the devil, and Leo the Luca shall appear. And that's my turn. This does mean I have to kill this quarry real quickly next turn, but that's fine. We're not in trouble yet unless we draw Ancient Evil's effects. Well, back over to Harvey. We don't really get to do too much exciting stuff. She decided I'm not going to pick up these clues at all. Just don't bother, probably. Although, Milan does give us an extra resource if we grab the first one. So yeah, we'll clear the whispers in our head. And then we will investigate. Make that easily. Get a resource and get one of the clues here. Notably, the balcony is a victory point, so pretty useful to get those clues. Well, upkeep. Draw a card, gain a resource, it's another Milan. Not that useful. Clear that, and let's go to Mythos. So we're at 5 out of 6 Doom, have to be really careful now. Could end up accidentally losing the scenario, or at least advancing. Secretly add it to your hands, you cannot move more than once per turn. No, that's not too bad. We're in a place where we can get clues, so... Descent into Madness. Search. If you have these 3 horror on you, lose an action. Well, we don't. So we'll just search into the next card, which says that we cannot play events. That's kind of annoying, but it's also kind of fine. We're just going to start with Tony. We're going to get our resource from Lone Wolf, and we're just going to start murdering this quarry. Engage it. Attack it. As our next action. So we get a free action to engage it with the bounty on him. We're going to attack it with the Derringer. I don't know if I want to commit something to this. I am attacking at a 5, 6, 7 versus 4, but obviously we have to succeed by 2 to deal 2 damage. I do have this Act of Desperation that I can't play because I have the Whispers in my head. So I think I'm just going to throw in this Act of Desperation for +2 icons. Elder Sign. Oh, that's really lucky. So +2, and I place a bounty. Okay. So I also get to do 2 damage. And because I succeed by 2 or more, I also get to get a lucky cigarette case draw. Oh, and then a gun. We got the Mauser, which is from Winnie's starter deck. Deals +1 damage and +1 combat, but you have to exhaust the gun. So we got enemies enough right now, so we're just gonna shoot again. No commits this time. Oh, autofill. That's unfortunate. Okay, trying to think, is there anything special we could be doing here? No, then we're just gonna keep fighting. We only need to do 1 more damage, so we're 7 versus 4, we just have to hit. And we do. Okay, so that takes care of that problem. We do get the resource from the bounty we killed, and that's the end of our turn. We did spend the entire turn killing the enemy, but we also, because we didn't doom out 1 turn earlier, we gave Harvey another turn, which is decent. So on Harvey's side of things, we're going to play Vault of Knowledge. Vault of Whispers is a different card. And we're going to then play Dream Announcing Serum. So for those of you who haven't played with this card yet, it is a 3-cost asset that reads only the first copy of each card in your hand counts towards your maximum hand size. So this is pretty weird, but you can... so if you have multiple copies of 1 card, you get basically only the first count, so you can have really big hands with this card. And then after you draw a copy of a card that's already in your hands, you can reveal both copies and draw an extra card. So it basically gives you more draws if you draw something you already had, which is nice. For our last action, we're going to investigate. and we're going to succeed. We're going to trigger Milan, get a resource. Then we're going to trigger the Vault of Knowledge, because after we successfully investigate, we can draw a card. Okay, then we're going to trigger our own ability, draw another card. So yeah, that's pretty good. Draw a couple of cards, get some resource every time we investigate. Oh, and we also get a clue, of course. Almost would forget that. Let's go to upkeep. Mythos phase. So 5 out of 6, we bought ourselves a little bit of time. And we draw a Spirit's Torment. We attach it to our location. After we leave the attached location, we either take a horror or lose an action. We can place one of our clues on it on the location as an action to discard it. It's actually a pretty okay to hit here because the balcony, we're not likely to return here, right? It's kind of out of the way. It's not connected to anything except for the lobby and the theater. So we're fine with it being here. We'll have to take the punishment once, but that's fine. And, ooh, we draw a Fanatic. So Fanatics are cultists. They spawn at the revealed location with the most clues. And after they enter play, we move one clue from its location to the Fanatic. And when we kill the Fanatic, we get the clue back. 3 fight, 2 health, 3 evade. And so this spawns at Tony's location and does immediately engage with him. It does pick up one of the clues here, which is nice because this was a 4-star location. So now we don't have to deal with that anymore. And we're just going to put a bounty on him for good measure. We don't have a gun at the ready, which is a bit of a problem, but we'll figure it out. We might have to take one attack of opportunity. It's only a single health damage. So yeah, let's go Tony first. We'll take a resource from Lone Wolf, and we'll just play the Mauser. This is going to provoke an attack of opportunity, but that's fine. We'll take 1 damage. We put 5 ammo on the Mauser. Now the Mauser exhausts whenever we fire it, but it also deals +1 damage. So if we just hit, we don't have to worry about the exhaustion. So for our next action, we're just going to shoot. And we draw an autofill, because of course we do. That makes this all significantly more complicated. Well, we miss. And you're going to have to figure out a new way to kill this guy. Bit tricky here. Also, I just realized we are at the lightning box. We have to pay 2 extra for the gun, which is hindsight maybe not the best move, but here we are. I will attack again, but this time I will use Stunning Blow. So Stunning Blow is whenever you hit with it, you get to evade the enemy. We do still want to kill this guy eventually, but right now I just need to get out of here, and I don't have a gun, so just going to try to punch. We draw +1. Good. Deal 1 damage to the Fanatic, who sadly has 2 HP. Is evaded. And we will make our way out of the lightning box real quick. Also, because we did succeed by 1, we will draw a card. Oh, that's pretty decent. We are going to have to discard something in a bit. Over to Harvey. Well, the location he was going to investigate at now has a Fanatic at it, but that's fine. We can still do stuff. We're going to move down here. And then we're probably just going to investigate for this clue. It's not like there's much else to do. Investigate. That's perfectly fine. So we get a resource. We draw a card. I'm going to choose to draw the card myself. And then I'm going to use Harvey's ability to draw another card. Okay. So far we haven't drawn any duplicates, so we didn't get to trigger Dream Announcing Serum yet. Get this clue as well. This is with 1 action remaining. Oh, we do have enough cards in hand to make the Sanano fragments at least +1 intellect, so let's play that. This is one of the new cards from Harvey's deck, and it is a 1-cost asset with a single intellect icon, takes up a hand slot, it is a tome. And while you have 5 or more cards in hand, you get +1 intellect, 10 or more cards, +1 willpower, and 15 or more cards, you get another +1 intellect. Trust me, you will get to +15 cards in hand. I didn't think it was possible either, but you will. And then we go to upkeep. It's worth pointing out the Fanatic does not have Hunter, so we can keep it here and worry about it later. Draw a card, it is the Dream Diary. Draw a card, it is a Lucky. Sadly, we do have 9 cards in hand because the Whispers in our head does count against our maximum hand size. But we have a lucky cigarette case that we already have one in play, so we're fine discarding that. Then we advance. 6 Doom, and we advance into the Emissary's Message. Abruptly, the malformed body of an unnatural nightmare slams onto the stage, its slithering tendrils reaching into the aisles. It opens its maw and lets out a shrill, piercing song. The melody is uncanny, the notes sear into your mind. Pain pounds in your forehead, and blood runs from your ears. Search all set-aside cards and the victor display for the Royal Emissary enemy spawned in the theater. That's the other one. We'll get to that later. Here is the Royal Emissary. 4 fight, 4 health, 2 evade. It is a monster and elite. It is a Royal Emissary, the messenger from Aldebaran. It preys on the investigator with the lowest willpower. It is massive, hunter, and retaliate. And it has a forced ability. At the end of the enemy phase, each investigator at Royal Emissary's location or connecting location takes 1 horror. It deals 2 damage and has a victory 2. The new agenda reads, Encore. The creature's song echoes relentlessly throughout the halls of the theater. The melody repeats again and again, yet somehow never the same note twice. 6 Doom, and it has Forced after Royal Emissary is added to the victor display. Remove all Doom from play and reset the agenda deck to agenda 1A. Then place 3 Doom on that agenda. So as long as we can keep killing the Royal Emissary, we can keep resetting the agenda deck and play for a little while longer. We're going to put a bounty on the Royal Emissary because we want to have extra actions when fighting it. And we will now draw our encounter cards. Frozen in Fear. The first time each turn we move, fight, or evade to cost an extra action, and at the end of the turn we can test to get rid of it. And Agent of the King. Ooh, this is poor timing. So the Agent of the King is a 4 fight, 4 health, 2 evade humanoid cultist. It preys on the person with the most clues. With Hunter, and there's a whole bunch of text about it stealing your clues. It also has victory 1. The biggest problem here is that obviously we were planning on attacking the Emissary with Tony, but then this guy had to come in and jump the queue. So now we're gonna need some additional fighting prowess. All right. Well, I think we are gonna let Tony go first, even though that means we don't get to draw or get a resource from Lone Wolf. Because hopefully we'll be able to draw some cards with Harvey's help. So let's start with shooting the Agent of the King. I'm just going to check real quick if there's some commit cards I can do here. There are not, no combat icons here, so we're just going to start shooting. I think it's wise to start shooting the Agent of the King and maybe bait the Royal Emissary first, then come back and murder it, because well, I can't kill both at the same time. So we're just going to start with where we can start. Is there anything I can commit? Not really. So this is a, I should exhaust it, +1, so we're attacking at 6 versus 4, and we really need to succeed by 2, so this is not a great place to be in. But here we are, -2. We do hit, we do 2 damage, but that's not enough to finish it off, and the gun is now exhausted. Our next step is probably to evade the Agent of the King. It only has 2 agility, just like the Emissary, luckily. So with a little bit of luck, we might be able to get out of its reach for a little bit. And we will evade, and we will commit the Mauser, because it's an extra agility icon. And we will also commit Mind Over Matter as Harvey. Give us another +1 intellect, or +1 agility. And we draw the autofill. Alright, things are not looking up. 2 actions left. Having to decide how to approach. So the problem is that an attack of opportunity from this guy is 1 damage and 2 horror. Taking 2 horror here is pretty big. It's not end of the world necessarily, but it does mean we get hit hard. So it has to be worth it, basically. And annoyingly, the card I really want to play is Leo De Luca, but doing that would put me in exactly the same position with 1 additional action and no additional resources. So I think the right play here is to play the Long Colt, shoot at the agent, and hope to kill it. Because at that point, at the very least, we'd have 1 action left. No, we would be out of actions. But we would have killed the agent. That does put us smack dab in the range of the Royal Emissary. But so be it. There is actually another option that I just realized. We do have the Occult Lexicon in hand as Harvey. And now Occult Lexicon gives us a event that does damage if we discard some cards. So we could potentially kill the Agent of the King but that way as well. But the problem is that we don't have to figure out what we're doing with our other two actions, because just evading twice is not that good, and more attacks opportunity would be bad as well, or attacks opportunity at all. So I think I am just going to go with the gun plan. I have to discard because I'm out of hand slots. Those go in the other order. Also, this doesn't spawn in tokens for some reason. There it goes. So that does provoke an attack opportunity, which I'll have to take. And then I will... Oh, it also steals a clue, but it can't. So I'll shoot it. Last action. -2. That hits, because it gets +1 for every bounty on the enemy, which is 1. If it defeats an enemy, I get a bounty back on the bounty contracts. I also get the bounty here. And I get the victory points, which, you know, not irrelevant. So that could have gone a lot smoother, but as far as it went, I mean, it went the way it went. That happens. Having to decide what to do with Harvey, though, because the Royal Emissary is massive, so it's going to hit both of them if he stays where he is. But really, most of the places he could go are pretty awful at the moment, exception maybe being the green room. But any move is going to take 2 moves. But he also, like, he's at 0 damage right now, but I know that can go up quite quickly. So I'm kind of torn between, like, trying to run away and live to fight another day, or going on the offensive. I think we're gonna play it safe. We're gonna move into the green room, which is 2 actions, and then we're gonna play the Occult Lexicon. So after it enters play, we search our bonded cards for 3 copies of Bloodright. We add 1 into our hand and shuffle the other 2 into our deck. When the Occult Lexicon leaves play, we find those copies and remove them from the game. Okay, found the Bloodrights, and there's 2 over here, and 1 goes into our deck. Bloodright reads, draw 2 cards, discard up to 2 cards from your hand. For each card thusly discarded, you may either gain a resource or spend a resource to deal 1 damage. Action does not provoke attacks opportunity. So this is actually a way to kill 2 health enemies, which is pretty neat. We then have to test against Frozen in Fear. We will commit Guts. We succeed, so we draw a card with Guts. Strange Solution. We will then draw a card with our ability. Shortcut. Pretty good. And then we go to the enemy phase. So the Royal Emissary is going to move here. He's going to punch poor old Tony. He's also going to scream, his forced effect. Each investigator to location or connected location takes a horror. So sadly that's both of them. And Tony took it pretty hard. He's got 3 horror now. Could end pretty poorly for him, but let's hope he perseveres. Draw a card. Hey, okay, so now we get to trigger something. We have 2 copies of Strange Solution, so we get to exhaust the Dream Enhancing Serum to draw another card. And this second copy now doesn't count towards hand size, so I'll move all of them to the side. So you can keep track of what are duplicates. And then watch this. Okay, Mythos phase. Doom 1 out of 6 again. We cannot commit skill cards to skill test. This one's actually kind of annoying. We do have deductions, and those are pretty good. Also, for any of you wondering what my current hand size is up to, well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cards in our hands officially, because these count as 1. And we have a hand size of default 8, +2 from here, +1 from here. So we're actually 1 under our hand size. Our hand size is 11. Spirit's Torment. Okay, we've seen this one before. We attach it here, and then it might cost us an extra action or cause us to take some horror. Yeah, I just realized I probably forgot to take that horror last time, didn't I? Ah, yeah, I did. Sorry, I completely forgot that, so I'll put the horror on Harvey. Well, there's a clear thing we should be doing here, so let's start with that. Tony, he'll get his resource, and he'll start shooting people. And by people, I mostly mean the Royal Emissary. I'll move the Emissary here so you can see it a little clearer. He's got 4 fight, 4 health, 2 evade. He doesn't retaliate, though he only hits for damage. And while that might sound weird as only hits for damage, at the moment Tony has 9 health and 5 sanity, but he's taken 4 damage and 3 horror. I'm way more scared of him being defeated by horror than by damage. We're attacking at 6 versus 4. I am going to commit Watch This and put 3 resources in there. Watch This is a pretty risky play, but I feel like I have to try to get back into it. So if we succeed by 1 or more, so we can draw a -2 or better, we get double the resources back, so we get 6 resources. We draw -2. Excellent. So first off, we get 6 resources here, going up to 9. Then we can either ready the Mauser or get a resource. Now, normally I would ready the Mauser, but since we already just did 2 damage, I'm gonna finish it off with my Colt so I can get a bounty back on bounty contracts, so I can actually leave this exhausted and just get another resource. Well, then we, no points for guessing what I'm gonna do next, which is to say miss. Uh-oh, because we get +1 from here, so we're attacking at 6, but the skull, because we now have 3 horror, is a -3. So we're attacking at 3 and we get punched. Ow, that's bad. We sadly don't have a lot of outs to that because we can't play the lucky because we still have can't play events. I also realized I should have drawn a card with Lucky Cigarette Case. My apologies. So awkwardly, I've kind of got myself into a corner here where I need to shoot again. Can't use the Mauser, so we're just gonna have to keep using the Long Colt. And we miss. This is really bad. Okay. Wow, we're getting demolished here. Yeah, the fact that we can't use this lucky is incredibly painful, because if we could, we'd just pass that first check, but we can't, so we're kind of stuck here. Well, I can't kill him in 1 action left because we're out of guns, so we're just gonna have to commit both of these to handle this one, to go up to a 4 agility and try to evade this guy. If we can't, we're dying. Even if we can. That's a problem. We don't. Huh. Okay. Okay, well, I do see a way out of at least this situation. This is still problematic because Harvey, you know, with or Tony with 8 damage on him might just still die, but we at least have some ways of dealing with this. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to shortcut, get over here, and then we're going to play Blood Right. So we're going to draw 2 cards. We're going to use our ability, make it draw 3 cards. Do any of these are duplicates of our current cards? No, they are not. Okay. Then we can discard up to 2 cards. I'd like to do that. Discard spare. I mean, those don't take up hand slots, is kind of the thing. I'll discard this spare Milan for sure. And having the pick here. I mean, I'm tempted to throw away the deduction since we can't use it anyway. Nah, I'll throw away this turn solution. And we'll spend 2 resources, which then lets us deal 2 damage to an enemy at our location. We're going to kill the Royal Emissary. Wow, that went poorly. Look, fortunately, or unfortunately, we're not out of the woods yet. So we remove all Doom from play and we reset to Act 1. So we're not dead, but we're also definitely not out of danger yet, because 1 errant bullet would kill Tony at this point. Luckily, he does have Leo, the Luca, and Perseverance, if he can get, you know, to the point where he can play events again. I'm gonna use Whispers, clear one of the Whispers in my head to get rid of that, and we can go to upkeep. Nope, nothing there, and that's fine. Okay, Mythos phase, 4 Doom, because when we reset it to 3 Doom. Black Stars Rise. Test intellect of 4. If we fail, we must either place a Doom or take a horror for each point we fail by. Well, as it happens, we're pretty good at intellect tests. So, Skull, we easily make that. Draw a card for Perception. It's a minor matter. And don't be something that kills us. Okay, it's Strong Rats. Getting a little nervous at this point because Tony's been getting it really roughly. It's funny, I did a test run of this and it was actually Harvey who kept getting beat up. So interesting how that can change. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is Harvey's going to clear this Whispers in his head. Actually, no, he's not. He's going to spend an action to drop a clue on his location to get rid of the Spirit Torment, because otherwise we're going to have to lose actions or take horror, neither of which we really want to do. And then second action, we're going to investigate. Committing nothing. And we draw an autofill. Okay, glad that's out of the pool. And we draw investigate. People watching, you realize what just happened, right? I had a good idea, right? We're going to investigate, we're going to trigger Vault of Knowledge on Tony to help him draw back up a bit, get some good stuff. But the game was just like, no, we don't want you to succeed at anything. Anyway, Tony's going to punch this guy. And that luckily does succeed. Briefly worried there for a second. Don't actually succeed by 2, I believe, because I'm at a 5, -3. Yeah, nope, no card draw. Well, we're just gonna get this out of here immediately, and then spend 6, play our Leo. Okay, so we're not strictly dead yet, right? We have a couple of points of soak here. We're usually pretty good, and we have our perseverance. So hopefully we're not just going to die. I would like to kill this guy. Not right now, obviously, but at some point. I will draw a card, because I haven't actually used Harvey's ability yet. So draw a card and trigger Harvey and draw another card. Okay, those are good cards. Could play a flashlight. I don't think that's necessary. Don't need to grab any clues or anything. A bit awkward, but I'll just draw another card. It's a take card. Okay. We'll go to upkeep. Things are looking a bit grim here, folk. They're looking a bit grim. I guess let's check hand size here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We are at hand size, but not over. And this is also fine. This is 8. Okay, 5 doom. So annoyingly, next turn the Royal Emissary comes back, and normally you want to use the turns between Royal Emissary spawns to kind of prepare, but things went so poorly last time that Tony hasn't really caught up yet. Twisted to his will. We have to test willpower equal to the amount of doom in play. That's currently 5. I'm not going to try with the guts because I don't like discarding cards. And we pass, so we get to draw a card. That's nice. Oh, but we draw our weakness, internal injury. Every turn we take a direct damage. And Black Stars Rise. Okay, this is reasonably bad. The problem here is that this is an intellect test. And if we fail, we either have to take a bunch of horror, which we don't want to do. Or we have to advance the agenda, which we don't want to do. However, there are a couple of tricks we can pull here, because most notably we have Perseverance. So if we would take at least 2 horror, we can choose to use Perseverance to just cancel all the horror we would draw. Because we can assign however we want and then cancel it. That being said, I also think that with the current hand, it's not unlikely to just pass the test, and that would be maybe a bit easier. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to commit this spare Leo DeLuca and hope for the best. Because then we're tying and we do have this lucky, so... we just draw 0. That's fine. Okay, phew. So I'm having to make some difficult decisions here. On the one hand, just running over here, killing this Fanatic would be great. Would let us get a lot of clues quickly. On the other hand, I really just need to be ready to kill the Emissary again when he shows up. We can now finally play events, which is good. We've got some good skills actually. We got Stunning Blow, we got Watch This, we got Lucky. So I think it's in Tony's best interest to not do anything too crazy and instead try to draw a bunch of cards. Maybe clear, like it would be nice for him to clear internal injury, but I don't think there's any way to set it up where I don't take at least 1 damage. Trying to see if there's like, I guess Harvey can stay here. I guess that's fine. Yeah, I was thinking maybe Harvey should move, but Harvey doesn't have to move. So I'll spend 2 actions to clear this. I'll have Harvey go first, and then I'll just investigate. This is the only move once per turn. Yeah, just checking. Yeah, so we're just investigating. Skulls are -1. We make that. Get a resource. We exhaust the Vault of Knowledge, and we'll have Tony draw a card. Then we'll use our ability. Let Tony draw another card. Okay, so Tony's drawing Sleight of Hand. This is also into boot. It can now only put items into play that take up less than 2 hand slots. It still does the bounce back to hand thing, so you can put an item in. Knowingly, we don't have any guns. All of our guns appear to be in the bottom 6 cards of our deck. But that's the end of Harvey's turn. Tony's turn is going to be pretty straightforward, I think. Well, it might get a little complicated. because we could just move here and wait here and gain resources, draw cards or whatever, but I think it's actually kind of interesting to try to figure out what's behind these doors. Backstage, 3 shroud, 1 clue, forced. When backstage is revealed, put 2 set aside backstage doorway locations into play at random. And while you are here, every hidden treachery counts as 3 cards instead of 1 for the purposes of counting hand size. So we'll get to put in 2 backstage doorways. And so the reason I'm doing this is mostly to not waste too many actions, but also because we do have 2 intel reports. And those would be kind of useful to get some clues quickly. Move. We found the trap room. It's a trap. 3 shrouds, 2 clues, forced. After we reveal the trap room, we have to search the encounter deck and discard pile for 1 copy of Swarm of Rats and put it into play engaged with us. We have to put 2 copies if there's multiple investigators, but there are not. I'm going to actually pull it out of the discard pile because I like Swarm of Rats. They're very easy to deal with, so I want to keep them in the encounter deck. And obviously they're going to get a bounty, which means we just get to punch them. And punch them we will, because we have a bonus action for that. Oh, sorry, Tabletop Simulator is lagging slightly. That's a -3. We hit. We kill the rats. Get a resource. Yeah, last action. We are going to spend 4 resources to play Intel Report, activating the ability to discover 2 clues at our location. Now we can just advance, but I think I'm fine holding off on that for a little bit. Because the advance requirement is 6 clues, and we finally got that. Oh, actually, we should be at 7 clues because we have this clue that Harvey picked up with investigating, but it doesn't really matter. At least not at the moment. So we'll go to upkeep. Prepare ourselves for the horrors to come. Which is to say, the thing that's about to happen. The emissaries returning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We're still good. Hey, it's another gun. That's good. That's actually amazing. Mythos phase. Advance. Suddenly, there's another emissary. Or it's the same emissary. Either way, it's right over here. And it's gonna be a big problem. Yeah, so another bounty on it, and Tony's ready to kill it. Frozen in fear. Well, that's fine. We're not really going to fight as Harvey anyway. And what am I? Ooh, this could be bad. So yeah, this could be pretty bad. I mean, we do have perseverance. I think I'm just going to commit take heart and hope for the best. Although, do I actually want to do that? Because I don't believe I've seen my other weakness yet. I've seen a quarry, but nothing else. So I don't really want to draw any weaknesses right now. So I'll just do it like this. -2. So we would take 3 horror. We'll assign all 3 horror to Tony. That would kill us. We'll play perseverance to cancel up to 4. In this case, 3 horror. And we don't die. Which is nice. We don't like dying. Well, there's really only one thing to do here. Move. Move. We are now fighting the Royal Emissary again. And we will play Sleight of Hand to play a weapon fast, basically. Put it into play fast, we don't have to pay for it. And we get to return it to our hand at the end of the turn. We'll slide this one out of the slot and put in a new cold. Duplicate it for the tokens. And we'll just fire that until the thing stops moving. We will commit for this first attack, Stunning Blow, and watch this. With my hope being, actually, so here's the thing. If I do watch this for 2 resources, I don't have Lucky on standby. So I'm only gonna watch this for 1 resource. It's a bit of a waste, but on the other hand, I'd really prefer not to die here. That's exactly why. Although 1, 2, 3, 8, we do still hit. We do lose out on our 1 resource from watch this. But we do end up with 2 damage on this thing. It will be exhausted because of the Stunning Blow, which is, I'll take it. Next attack, we're just gonna shoot it again. -1, that hits by 1, and it kills it. So we do. So this is something that actually I should talk about. What I've just done is I've reset the agenda deck the same turn this thing comes out. And that's actually not something you usually want to do when you're playing this scenario, because you want to increase the amount of time between spawns essentially by killing it after a couple of turns, because the second agenda you can see here has 6 doom as well. So this is actually kind of suboptimal. The problem is that because Tony is very vulnerable to horror and damage at the moment, I really want to take as few risks as possible and I just want to keep killing it every time it shows up. So I'm deciding to ignore a little bit of the what I would consider greedy play by giving myself more time and just making sure I can kill it as soon as it shows up. For the last action, I'm just going to grab a resource. Okay, Harvey's turn. Harvey's frozen in fear, which is annoying because it means we can't simply run over somewhere and start doing stuff. But on the other hand, we are also still whispers in our head. So actually remind me, this is on move actions, right? Yeah, so first time we perform one of the following actions. So we could still shortcut, which is an important thing. So we're going to take these and discard it, which is our first 2 actions. Then we're going to shortcut, get on over to Tony's location. We're going to have to deal, we might have to deal with this fanatic. The beautiful thing about the fanatics is, and there are multiples, is that they might just help us by taking care of this victory point location for us. Here's hoping. And for our last action, since we do have another one of these fragments in hand, I think we're going to play this one. We have an extra arcane or an extra tome slot thanks to the arcane enlightenment, so we can play all 3 of them. I mean, why not? Because we could also draw cards. Let me think about that for a second. No, you know what? I'm going to play the strange solution instead. Already paid the cost, I believe, because we want to have this thing deciphered. So at the end of the turn, we have to test Frozen in Fear. I actually want to know. I have 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8 cards in hand, which means that I'm not qualifying for the +1 willpower. So I'm going to throw this arcane enlightenment in. Succeed. Get rid of this thing. Alright, upkeep. Card game research. Oh, actually, this triggers 3 Monster Serum. That would also trigger the Monster Serum, but it is already exhausted. And we proceed to the Mythos phase. Doom. King's Edict. Ah, oh, this is right. This is the other way that the cultists can help us. So for each cultist enemy in play, they pick up a clue, and then until the end of the round, they all get +1 fight for every clue and a doom on it. If no clues are moved, they gain search. Well, this guy picks up this clue, but we don't need that clue, so we'll just let him have it. Good job, dude. You got it. Twist it to his will. We have to test willpower 4, I believe, because yeah, doom is 4, and if we fail, we get to draw 2 cards, or discard 2 cards. But yeah, that's the other way around. We'll just take card on this test. Elder Sign. Annoyingly, oh no, wait, we do pass. Okay, so we get to get a bounty on our bounty contracts. We sadly lose the take heart, but we do get to keep 2 of our cards in hand, so I consider that a fair exchange. Let's see, so the thing is coming back in 2 turns. Also, this should be back in my hands, my apologies. This is a slight event. I'm making a couple of misplays. I don't believe I've actually done anything rules-wise wrong, but I definitely think I'm playing a bit sloppy, and my apologies for that. Well, we're going to be using Harvey to get whatever's behind this last door. So move, and then another move. And this is the dressing room. We can spend 3 actions to heal 3 horror. Harvey doesn't want to do that, but maybe Tony does. So we've explored the entire map, and we do have the 6 clues required to advance, which we're now going to do. I have to find, oh, here it is. His final bow. A shadow creeps along the wall beside you, and your heart leaps in your throat. In turn, you turn, and the figure flits away just out of sight. Either your mind is playing tricks on you, or someone else is in the theater. You follow the directions of the shadow, rounding a nearby corner. At the far end of the hall, he stands awaiting you. A man in an elegant black suit, his face covered by a pale mask. Though his attire has changed, you instantly recognize him as the actor who played the role of the stranger, one of the characters from The King in Yellow. He turns and disappears through an open doorway, as if taunting you to follow. Choose one of the set-aside locations at random. Put that location into play, and spawn the set-aside the man in the pale mask enemy at that location instead of his normal spawn instruction. Advance to one of the 3 copies of Act 2A at random. Remove the other 2 copies of Act 2A from the game without looking at them. So we have 2 leftover locations, one at the front door and one at the back. We want the backstage one because both of the lobby and backstage, got it, have 2 locations that have a victory point and 1 location that doesn't. We've seen the 2 victory point locations for the front side. We haven't seen the last one yet, so that's over here. Then we have to spawn the man in the pile of mask here now. Get ready to meet this guy. Weakness, 4 combat, 3 health, 4 evade, humanoid and elite. He normally spawns at the location furthest from our investigators, but not in this case. He is aloof. And we have an action to investigate. Your location gets +2 shroud for this investigation. If you succeed, instead of discovering clues, defeat the man in the pile of mask. Indeed, it's time. We have all laid aside disguise, but you, from Robert W. Chambers' The Mask, the King in Yellow. Oh, and he attacks for a single horror, though that's unlikely to come up often as he has aloof, so if you're going to engage him to fight him, you're typically trying to kill him in 1 turn. We then advance to one of the 3 copies of the next act. Nope, come on. There we go. They're all identical on the front, by the way. So we have Act 2A, The Stranger. The mysterious stranger from the King in Yellow might know something about what happened during the intermission. You must find and confront him if you are to discover this truth. Objective. When the man in the pile of mask will be discarded from play, advance. So we have to find and defeat the man in the pile of mask. But we still have 1 action left over on Harvey's side, which we're going to use to try to decipher the strange solution. So we will test intellect of 4, given our current intellect of, I believe, 7. I don't believe I have 15 cards in hand yet. We're just gonna try it like this. We make it, so if we succeed, we get to record in our campaign log that we have to identify the solution, and we get to draw 2 cards, which we will of course add a 3rd card to. Oh, we'll draw one of our weaknesses. We draw the Unspeakable Oath of Curiosity. So it's a hidden card, so don't tell anybody I drew this. When the game ends or you are eliminated, if this card is in your hand, you earn 2 fewer experience points. But reaction after you successfully investigate location with no clues on it, discard this card from your hand. So that won't be too much of a problem. Now, that was Harvey's turn, so we're gonna have to figure out what to do with Tony now. Obviously that action over here is looking mighty tempting. Getting a bunch of clues, or rather getting a bunch of horror healed would be very nice for us. We get a resource from Lone Wolf, putting us back into a bit of an econ situation. We don't really have to go deal with the man in the pile of mask, because we can use his investigate action to defeat him, which is something Harvey can do. So I think it's in our best interest to try and set up for a return of the emissary. We're going to start by drawing a card. Oh, it is a sleight of hand. Excellent. It's exactly what we need to take care of, or to play our gun multiple times. So we are going to move twice, moving into the dressing room, and we're going to use this action next turn. Last action, we are just going to grab a resource, and we're going to head on over to upkeep. So yeah, because none of the enemies do anything, so ready everything. Draw a card. I don't believe I have a copy of that in my hand, so draw a card. Oh, we draw another weakness. It is the thing that follows. It spawns at the location furthest from you, and it preys on the bearer only as hunter. But when it would be shuffled in, or would be defeated, we shuffle it into its deck. It never leaves, because it to the ends, the earth, and back. So the furthest location from Tony would be either of the lobby doorways. Let's put them over with the fanatic so they can keep each other company. And we can go to Miffle's phase. Doom. And counter card. Another fanatic. Spawns at the revealed location with the most clues. Annoyingly, that isn't just an empty location. That's going to be right here, blocking the access to the man in the pile of mask. Might prevent Tony from getting his horror healed. Worse, Tony loses an action because he descended to madness. Search. If you have at least 3 horror on you, you lose an action. Well, he does. Into Spires of Carcosa. That's your location, then put 2 doom on that location. If there's no doom on the attached location, we discard the spires. And we can investigate, and if we succeed, we remove a doom from the attached location. This is, I believe, irrelevant, because we're at 5 doom already. So, whether we clear this or not, we're going to advance next turn, so we might as well not bother. This does put us into an interesting question of what do we do with Tony, because obviously Tony could just take the triple action to heal 3 horror, but since he's still on 8 health. I feel like a bad hit takes him out either way. He has the lucky, so I'm sort of inclined to just go screw it, clear out this fanatic, because if we don't kill the fanatic, Harvey can't move on. And then we can just get ready to kill the emissary again next turn. We've got enough firepower to deal with both of those, and we've got intel report in theory to deal with whatever happens here. It's important. So yeah, we're just gonna move, engage this guy, shoot said guy. Now, annoyingly, if we miss here, we do get in a bit of trouble, but I think we should be fine. Yep, we hit. Again, only by 1. It's kind of annoying that we keep barely missing those succeed by 2 benefits. I do realize I forgot to put a bounty on him, but I, of course, meant to put a bounty on him. So we get a bounty, and we get to kill this guy, get his clue. That leaves us with 2 actions remaining. Well, one of those actions is going to be moving. And since we have now seen both of our weaknesses, our last we only have 2 cards left in our deck, and if we run out of deck, we have to take a horror. Better not risk that. We'll just take a resource. better to be safe than sorry, I think, in this case. Let's not mess around with drawing too many cards. That's Harvey's really more Harvey's thing. So Harvey's going to do the virtue of lack of shortcuts. He's just going to move twice into the rehearsal room. Now, if you succeed by 2 or more while investigating the rehearsal room, you take a horror. But it's only 1 shroud, 2 clues, and it does have victory points. Now, the Manipulative Mask, he's got gives a +2 shroud when we investigate. So it would be investigate 3, which would be easy, but when we would do that, we would also advance. So for that reason, I'm not going to do that right away. I'm going to spend my last action to play Dream Diary, because we still have extra tome slots or hand slots for tome. And the Dream Diary is currently untranslated. I should pay for it before I forget that. And it gives us an action to search our bonded cards for Essence of the Dream and add it to our hand. And after we succeed by 3 or more during a skill test to which Essence of the Dream is committed, we record in our campaign log that we have interpreted the dreams. And so Essence of the Dream is a 2 wild icon skill that is bonded to the Dream Diary, and when it would enter the discard pile or shuffle it to your deck, you set it aside out of play. So we have to take an action to grab this card, and then spend an action to commit it to any test, and if we succeed by 3 or more, we interpret the dreams. This was our last action, so we're going to go to upkeep. Draw a card. Hey, it's another Blood Right. We get to use Dream Enhancing Serum to draw the other Blood Right. Okay. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. Sorry. Something, I think there was a slight technical glitch when I went to grab the Essence of the Dream. So that it accidentally duplicated the Blood Rights. So we are now, this should be correct. We are now in the empty deck. We will draw another card. So we'll take 1 hover for there. And then draw another card. There we go. And that should be correct now. Should only be 1 Blood Right in here, 2 Blood Rights in here. Yeah, that's correct. Okay. I think we're good. Also, I should check hand size. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, we're over hand size. We have to discard 1. Let's discard this e-cash. We're good on money. Well, the last card is apparently something with tokens because it spawned them despite being upside down. Tabletop Simulator does weird things with cards sometimes. I would say I'm sorry, but there's really nothing I can do about it. So I hope it's not too distracting. We get the emissary again. And this advances, so this goes away. Right, here's another to explain. And then we draw encounter cards. It's a Swarm of Rats. This is somewhat annoying, but I think we can manage this. And we draw King's Edict. Every cultist in play picks up a clue. Well, there is a cultist, but he doesn't pick up any clues. Oh, also, I just remembered. This thing is supposed to have Hunter, so it's moved over here. Problematically, if there are no clues are moved, it gains Search, so this searches. Dissonant Voices. We cannot play assets or events. Okay. So we can't use Lucky. We can't use our Active Desperation. And we can't use our Sleight of Hand. All of those are bad. All of that is bad. Okay, that's a problem. Think I'm on the old evade, run away, and try again another day plan. Because we really can't afford to miss a shot against the Royal Emissary at this point. It would kill Leo and end up pretty bad. The only thing I think we might be able to afford is if we manage to evade him, we could take a shot at him, because obviously retaliate doesn't trigger if an enemy is exhausted. So we'll start with the evade. We'll commit this Lone Wolf, which puts us at a 3v2, which is really important, but we need that sleight of hand. Thank goodness. Okay. Thought that occurs real loudly. No. Royal Emissary is exhausted. Okay, that's good. We're gonna shoot it. Do we have any skills we want to commit here? No, we don't. But that's fine. We still hit it. Okay, this is exhausted, but it's also empty, so not too worried about that. We deal 2 damage to the Royal Emissary. And we're gonna use the better part of Valor, discretion, and a move. And we might want to move again, because if we stay here, we're still going to take a horror. Tempting to, or wondering where to go. Obviously, this location that heals our horror is very tempting. Especially with the thing that follows also running behind us. So yeah, we're going to move over here. Maybe use that next turn. We can play assets or events. We're just going to draw our last card in our deck. It is another flashlight. We're going to take another horror in when we draw a card in upkeep, but hopefully we can heal 3 horror and be fine again. Okay, Harvey. Awkwardly, my plan was to advance now, get rid of the Manipulate Mask, but as situation has gotten somewhat more problematic, I'm not sure if I should do that right now. Also, there is this Swarm of Rats that I should probably deal with first. So yes, we're going to deal with the Swarm of Rats first, and we're going to do that the old-fashioned way. We're just going to use Blood Red. So we draw 2 cards. We're going to use Harvey's ability, draw another card. Should this be exhausted? Yes, it should be, because we drew the card in upkeep, so it's still exhausted. Then we can discard a number of cards. We can't discard the weakness. Hidden cards cannot be discarded. That way, we're going to discard this. Now I have to make a choice, because I could discard a second card, which also lets me ping the Manipulate Mask for damage, but I feel like that only matters if I decide to play the other Blood Right. I do have 2 of them. So I'm not going to. I'm just going to deal 1 damage to this rat and kill it. I'm going to spend an action to get this Essence of the Dream with the Dream Diary. And then I'm going to last action investigate, commit Essence of the Dream, commit Deduction, commit Perception, why not? Actually no, that won't give me to Perceptions because we want those cards in hand. So yeah, just committing this. Skulls are -1, so we succeed, and we probably succeed by 3 because the difficulty is only 1. So 1, yeah, that's enough. So we can record in our campaign log not only that we have done the solution, but we've also interpreted the dreams, and we get 2 clues. We do, however, have to take a horror because of the forced effect on the rehearsal room, which is okay. We've got some sanity left. All right, let's proceed to the enemy phase. This thing will move. Royal Emissary will scream, but no one's at connecting location, so we're good there. We'll go to upkeep. I feel like we've recovered remarkably well given the start of this scenario. Things started looking pretty dour, but we've got things turned around. I'm just gonna quickly rearrange my hands so I can see how many actual cards I have in hand as opposed to like, because this all counts as 1 each. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you're forgetting why I get to count those duplicates as 1, it's because of the dream enhancing 0. Only the first copy counts. We get a draw card. We have to take a horror. We'll put it on Leo. Just to, yeah. No risk. Ooh, another gun. Good. And we proceed to. Oh, should be it. This should be at 0 and now at 1. Forgot to reset the doom last time. Phonetic. Okay, well at this point there are no more locations with clues on them, so we can just place this wherever, and we'll put them over here. because the most clues, it spawns a location with the most clues, but the most clues can be 0. Spars of Carcosa. So this would normally be pretty bad. After all, you know, 2 Doom is pretty bad. But since the emissary resets the Doom clock when it dies, we're just going to ignore this and kill the Royal Emissary. Seems like a reasonable plan. Yeah, we both drawn Gado cards. Neither of them did much. I think I have to think for a moment what I'm going to do, because I have 2 of Tony's guns right now. Could play both of them with their special ability. That does mean I'm not using the sleight of hand, which is fine. So the reason why I'm thinking is I have 4 actions and I get to heal 3 hover with the first 3. Let's start with that. Also, Lone Wolf resource. But then I have to think for a moment. I think I'm just going to play both guns. 11 or 6 bullets should be sufficient to... Okay, because they don't spawn tokens if they've already been spawned before. And so with the reaction, you can play another gold from your hand at no cost. It rarely comes up, but when it does, it's kind of nice. So yeah, I now have 6 bullets, which should be enough to deal with these problems. Now, over to Harvey, where things are gotten a little bit interesting. Again, I could advance if I want to, but well, the benefit of having already played this scenario before, I know that advancing is going to do something, and I'm not sure if I want to do that in a situation as hectic as this one already is. But staying around just dirtling is also kind of boring. Screw it. You guys came to be entertained, right? You want to see me? You want to see this scenario burst into flames, and yeah, we're gonna investigate. This is gonna go so poorly. I'll commit this Milan, and we'll be investigating on the Manipulate Mask. So it gets +2 shroud, but we're doing fine on that regard. We have high enough intellect. That's a -3, but given that this is giving us a... Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, we're not at 15 cards yet. It's not a +2. So +1, +1, +1, we're still fine. We actually succeed by 2, so we have to take another hover. We do investigate a location with no shroud, however, or with no clues on it, so we discard this card from our hand. And then we would discard the Manipulate or defeat the Manipulate Mask. However, when he would be discarded, advance. A City of Flame. As you face off with the stranger, you get the sense that he is grinning beneath his pale, faceless mask. Where is everyone? You ask, but he does not respond. What is going on? He remains silent and steps back as you approach, until his back is against the corner of the room. You feel intense heat behind you and turn to see flames roaring throughout the auditorium. You turn back to the stranger, but he is gone. Instead of discarding the Manipulate Mask, move him to the lobby. Add 2 cultist tokens to the Chaos bag. We'll have to spawn a pair of cultist tokens. Come on, work with me here. There we go. Into the bag they go. Then place 1 horror on the theater. Until the end of the scenario, horror on location represents spreading flames, and each location with horror gains forced. After you enter this location or end your turn at this location, test agility 3. If you fail, take 1 damage. Limit once per round. Keep this card next to the act deck as a reminder and advance to Act 3A. Act 3A, Curtain Call. The stranger must know the way out. You have to follow him. While the Manipulate Mask is not in play, the lobby gains action, Resign. Forced at the end of the round, place 1 horror on each location with no horror that is connected to a location with horror. Objective, each undefeated investigator has resigned, advance. So we place 1 horror in the theater, and stuff's about to get burned. Okay, that was our first action as Harvey. But we did also see that in Investigate, so I guess we get to draw some cards. Okay, or we get a youth ability, and that lets us trigger another 316 serum. That's pretty decent. We didn't have one of that, no, because the other one's in play. Right, so the theater's now on fire, which is great. All these enemies are over here, so they're gonna move towards the backstage, so we can't really leave here. As such, I'm inclined to just kind of hang around, do nothing, get some resources. Yeah, that's probably the best I can do. I'll just get 2 resources. Because I don't want to draw too aggressively, because I might have to cycle my deck, and I don't really want to do that. So yeah, and then we go to the enemy phase, both of these move, and then we go to the upkeep. And the reason why I did draw some number of cards is I want to get to 15, of course. This should be 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, okay. But we are, so according to our hand limit, we are at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which is fine. But we do have enough cards to trigger the, or to have +2 from this book of books. All right, let's go to Mythos phase. And let's hope it's not too bad, because we do have 2 Doom in play already. So we're at 4 Doom. It is a Poltergeist. This is pretty annoying, but we can deal with it. And twist. Ooh, 4 Doom in play. If we fail, we have to discard 2 cards. Well, nothing to be done about it. I'm very glad I played my guns last turn. Yep, there you go. Fail. I believe I can resolve this in whatever order I want. So I'm going to discard 2 cards from my hand at random. I believe I'm shuffling something that I don't want to be shuffling. I'm not quite sure what that was, but... Okay, well, I discarded 2 cards I really wanted to get rid of and kept the cards I really wanted to keep and kept the cards I didn't want to get rid of. So Act of Desperation would have been good because it lets us throw in a weapon, and Sleight of Hand lets us do other stuff, but we get these cards instead. And some resources. Okay. Well, it's going to be an exciting turn either way. We either win big or lose big, as is the rogue way. Well, let's start with Tony. Right, it's going to start on that with Tony. He's going to move here. He gets both of these guys. And he's just going to start shooting. So, second action, let's shoot at the Royal Emissary. So we already got 2 damage on him. So, with a little bit of luck, we can finish it off. -1. That's a little bit of luck. It is defeated again. Goes to the victory display. We reset the egg deck. All the Doom in play, so all the Doom in play is wiped, and then we add 3 Doom. So this card does leave play because of its forced effect. Or sorry, there's not even forced effect. Just if there's no Doom in play, or at attached location, we discard it. So we also get a resource from our bounty, and we get a resource back because of the cult. So yeah, okay, that's an important start. Although I do realize I just missed the trigger, because at the end of the round there should have been 1 horror placed on every location adjacent to one with horror. So this is supposed to have 1 horror on it, which then means I'm supposed to test agility 3, and if I fail I'm supposed to take 1 damage. Yikes, because we have agility of 2 and 1 damage here is a big problem. Goal test. If your location has at least 1 horror on it, take a horror. If the location has no horror on it, instead place a horror on it, it is also a -4. We cannot beat that. So we're taking a damage and a horror. Thank goodness we managed to get rid of the horror. But this is a big problem, right? We have to get to the exit, and there are multiple locations in the way that are on fire. Now, fortunately, we can't take more damage from this location because it's once per turn. So if we end our turn here, we're fine, but we have to find some way to avoid dying. Let's start by killing the thing that follows, because, you know, that's perhaps the most pressing concern. Shoot our gun. Draw another cultist token. We take another horror and we miss. Cultist tokens are really aggravating. Skull token. Okay, that's a lot less bad. That's a -1 for now, which allows us to defeat this thing. It gets shuffled back into our deck. I think the only safe thing to do is to stay where I am right now and draw a card, because we have to find some soak or something. You handle this one. Okay, that's good. We can at least pass a treachery along to Harvey. Okay, Harvey. Harvey's engaged with a poltergeist. We got some options here. So we could obviously just parlay the poltergeist twice, try to banish it. But the thing is that we don't really care for the poltergeist, and we might need our agility for other stuff as well. So we're just going to use Mind Over Matter. Mind Over Matter, fast. Play only your turn. Until the end of the turn, you may use your intellect instead of combat or agility. So we now have a agility of 5, 6, 7, 8, which is a bit better. So we're going to evade this poltergeist. Evade it. And then we're going to move a couple of spaces. Like over here. Which requires us to make a force check, but luckily we have our agility of 8. And we pass. Also we're less hurt than than the rogue, which is interesting. Yeah, so I think I'm just gonna keep moving because it only lasts for so many actions. The Mind Over Matter does, and we sadly run out of fail, so we take 1 damage. Okay, yeah, upkeep. There's not really much else to do. Draw a card. It's a strange solution. Don't really need to do anything with that. And we draw Quick Thinking. Okay. We don't trigger either of the force effects because they only trigger when you move or when you end your turn once per turn, per location. Okay. Mythos Phase, 4 Doom out of 6. This is starting to become important because the Royal Emissary has Victory 2, but only while he's in the Victory display does it count. So we want to actually get out of here before he respawns. Let's see if we manage to. Spires of Carcosa, it's exactly the card I was worried about, and we get it right here. Luckily it is basically the lowest shroud location in the game, and we also have our Seeker right there, so it's not too bad. Distant Voices, cannot play assets or event, so there goes any hope of playing soaks to get out of this. Unless we throw it away, but we don't necessarily... I think we keep it. I think we keep it and we try to push through. Because I'm guessing I can get away with 2 more tests. Move, and then end our turn here so we don't have to test again. And then next turn resign before we have to take another test. So we'll have to do 2 more agility tests. So we have to pass one of them because otherwise Leo's dead. Looking at Harvey's hand, there's not that much we can commit there, sadly. So I'm starting to think actually I should pass the you handle this one because I can then lucky. Yes, I'm gonna do it. Okay, talk myself through it. This is going here and I get a resource. First action is going to be move. This triggers the forced effect. I have to take 1 damage if I don't pass an agility 3 test. Well, I will commit Quick Thinking, which is very optimistic. And we will. Is it actually when you leave or is it when you enter? No, it's enter. Okay, so also all of the locations connected, which I believe is currently every location is on fire, but that doesn't matter because we shouldn't have to go anywhere other than where we're going. So yeah, we're committing Eureka and Quick Thinking just to basically hope to pass it. We draw -3, which would put us at 1, but we can lucky. So we made the right decision. This goes here, this goes here. We do actually get to resolve the Eureka. We don't get to resolve the Quick Thinking, sadly. But we get the Eureka. Not a lot of options here. Although we draw the card we pick, so we could use Harvey to draw another card. We're gonna put away these 2 cards that don't have agility icons, keep them when we do. Draw another card. It's a Leo. Ooh, that's important. Because now we can move. Do another agility test. Commit the Mauser. Fail. Yes. Take a damage, which kills Leo. Then we can spend some resources to get another Leo. So, okay, we're now basically home clear. We're not quite, we're not quite super safe yet, but this basically means we'll probably be okay. Because unless something deals a lot of damage or a lot of war, we're probably not going to die. And actually, looking at my hand, I still have 2 actions left, and I have a lot of icons, intellect icons, so I might just be able to beat the game this turn. Would be interesting if I could. I'm going to try it. So I'm going to do an investigate, because we can do the investigate action again. It gets plus 2 shroud, and now it's at the lobby, which is 6 shroud, which is a lot, but we have 6 points worth of intellect icons, and we have an intellect of 3. So if we draw, majority of the tokens, we're just going to pass. Like that one. Okay, so there we go. The Manipulative Mask is no longer in play. And that means, well, it's not in play. The lobby gains action resign. So let's resign before we die. Okay, phew. Well, that leaves Harvey, who doesn't really have any reason to do anything other than move, test agility, don't really bother with anything, take a damage, and immediately resign, because we've already identified all the stuff and we've gotten all the victory points, so we're leaving. Alright, whew. Whew, normally the last part of the scenario is a little bit less tense. Actually, no, that's not true. This scenario usually gets tense. Tony getting 8 damage is a bit unusual, but I mean, it happens and it almost killed him, but we got there. Let's read some resolution text. Or actually, first let's advance. So, escaping the theater. The stranger gives you a slight bow as he steps through the lobby's front entrance, opening a glass door that was not there a moment before. A sudden cacophony of noise erupts around you, and you fear that the building has only seconds before it is destroyed. You flee, crashing through the front doors and leaving the ruined theater in your wake. Several blocks away, you take a moment to rest and think about what you witnessed. The investigators must decide, choose one. We have to warn the police about what's going on. Resolution 1. The police won't believe us. We have to solve this mystery on our own. I think, given... Actually, you know what? No, this would be more interesting. I'm going to ask you, people watching this video right now, to go ahead and, in the comments, decide whether you want me to go warn the police, or... that's not. Neither of those are the correct cards I want to show. There. We can either warn the police, Resolution 1, or try to solve it on our own, Resolution 2. It's up to you to decide. I'll do a little check before I go play next time, and I'll actually read the resolution text of whichever side we got before I'll play the next scenario. But yeah, please let me know which resolution you think I should take. Okay, so we won. I will give a quick tally of the XP we earned. We got victory 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which I think is about the best you can do without XP enhancing cards. So yeah, let's talk about the decks and maybe a little bit about upgrading them, since I'm not talking about the resolution yet. Harvey was, I mean, the amount of cards you can have in hand with Harvey is crazy. I feel like I need more ways to take advantage of it, because as it turns out, committing like 5 perceptions to a test you're already 4 over is not actually that useful. But there are definitely cards in the game that can do that. I also think I could take a couple more cards like Cryptic Research that could help Tony draw more cards easily. So I definitely think there's some stuff to do here. Plus we did identify both the Strange Solution and the Dream Diary. And I do happen to have Shrewd Analysis here, which lets me randomly pick the ones. I don't know if I'm going to do that for both of them, but I might do it for the Dream Diary at least, because I think all of the options of the Dream Diary are about the same. The ones of the Strange Solution, there's just one that's way better than the other, so I might take that one, but we'll see. Meanwhile, on Tony's side, I mean, taking that much damage early, it does happen in Curtain Call occasionally, but it's not that common, so I'm not that worried about having to add more damage soak or anything like that. I do think the deck in general is sweet. I think Tony's a really cool rogue. Just having 5 in his stat and cool abilities does that. I'm gonna try to see if some of the newer cards that were in Where the Gods Dwell and Weaver of the Cosmos, sorry I'm blanking on the pack names, add some stuff to Tony, and I'm very excited to show this deck after some XP. So thank you for tuning in. If you have any feedback, if there's anything you want to ask, please do so. You can post in the comments. You can find me on Reddit as Wern212. You can find me on Discord, same username. And yeah, thank you for joining me, and have a great day wherever you are, and see you again sometime soon until the end of time.